And then we got a phone call 2.5 years ago that we didn't make the cut of their top 50 customers and we're not going to be supplied anymore.
Oh, wow.
And so then we sat there and we're like, and it's the bays that I put in, you know, it's the second whole install. And it's like, well, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So, well, we're going to send it out. So it's kind of like when the United States realized that they could become a major exporter of power by turning around the ports that compress natural gas to allow them to fill tankers and send it off instead of bring them in anymore.
Right.
It's a very fortunate position to be in if you get there, right? And so we've turned things around and we're marketing to try to get there a little bit. And so hopefully we add more customers and keep flowing, 24/7, 365. But as of right now, we do about 6-7 months of production of our own per year. And we stack that to the first half of the year. We just started that last month. We'll be done around July and then we're open for customer business.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So is it like a 30-60 split or 30, that's not even math, 30-70 split versus contract distilling and what you do?
Not even close. I wish it was.
Okay.
So last year it was a 50-50 split. So last year we had as much contracted as we made for ourselves. This year is much less. We caught a customer last year that I think they had storage issues and then they had just some time constraint issues in their column. This is a huge multinational publicly traded company. MGP hooked them up with us because they needed to do some things that MGP couldn't do in terms of time of the calendar that was left.
Right.
And so they got referred to us, and we produced 1,100 barrels for them last year. And so that was the entirety of our production bought out by one customer.
Gotcha.
I think we serviced 2 other customers that year. This past year, we didn't have that. And so we did have a large downtime, a couple months down. And then we restarted with we had a couple customers, consistent customers yearly, and we restarted with their business about 2 weeks earlier than we would have for our own. So
was there a thing that you went into this wanting to make that like, this is my baby. I want to do bourbon. I want to do rye. What is you want Dancing Goat to be known for?
Rye and high rye bourbon.
Right. Hence limousine rye, which I'm very familiar with. I've had that. See, I've never been here, but I've had your product. So
appreciate that.
Don't worry. You got my money.
Appreciate that.
No, so tell me about that, because rye is not number one. It's bourbon's king, and rye has had a slow trickle up.
It's still a fight. Let me tell you.
It's still a fight.
Still a fight. Let me tell you. We have a lot of. I'm sorry.
No,
hey, mama. Thank you, Bobo. We make a lot of rye here. We have phenomenal ag partners, and those people can grow rye for us. That is it's specified to our exact needs in terms of yields for our producers, yields for us, and flavor profiles for us. If I got to get rid of her, I can throw her in my car too. She'd actually be happier in there.
That's up to you.
Okay, cool. Well, if she doesn't shut up, we'll throw her in there. Okay, good. Yeah, she's nice to comfort. She's tiny. Big things come in small packages. We knew that, so this is the deal. We were either going to build in Chicago, which would have been the plans I had for Chicago were wild. Like you should have seen, we're going to be storing barrels underground,
which
is a death trap, but it would have been sick. I mean, 5-story underground rick house underneath an industrial building, ventilated and humidified. It'd been sweet.
Yeah.
But also, if anything ever happened, it can just come up.
Right.
So we were incentivized economically to keep building in the state. Somebody had somehow heard, and these things happen, but somebody had heard in terms of economic development committees that we were looking at building a plant outside of the state of Wisconsin, and they wanted to know why we would ever think that when we had such a good relationship building our first plant. We explained that we didn't really have a good relationship building our first plant, and they made some things more amenable for us to build here, and we decided to build up in Wisconsin. The only reason we considered it is because of our access to dextrins, to grains, and potential dextrins, right? Starches is really what we're looking at. But when you start looking at the agronomy of Wisconsin as a whole, it's not really the best land to grow anything for several reasons, right? Where you have glacial activity, you don't have flat, right? And so your hills are going to shade low valley areas. So there's inconsistencies in terms of Monsanto wants to grow all their corn in Iowa and Kansas because it's flatter than the day is long, and the soil is same glacial soil, right? Still really rich in nutrients.
Yeah.
But what Wisconsin has done is they've learned how to apply technology to the land and make it where you can grow anything. Anything from, I know you had a conversation with Joe Henry, very popular guy around here. I love Joe. He's one of my best friends.
Great dude.
Hybrid seed corn farmers, right? So what do? They solve problems for other farmers. We want to grow in this atmosphere, but we can't because of X. X becomes a variable. Let's say it's soggy feet. Let's say it's standing water in fields. Henrys can go ahead and they can look at, varietals that do really good with wet feet, and they can crossbreed those with something that's going to yield well at that latitude or that longitude, and bada bing, bada boom, you got a great product to grow where you're at. They've applied technology to create a useful product that probably wouldn't be as useful without the technology applied, right? It'd just be corn. It wouldn't be their hybrid seed corn. Ginseng. Most of the world's global supply of ginseng is grown here. A lot of people don't know that.
I just read that the other day.
Cranberries. Almost all of cranberries supply comes from here domestically, despite the clever brand name Ocean Spray. Right? There's very little Ocean Spray in that bottle.
Michigan spray.
Exactly. And so it's very, and on the counter to this, right? Door County cherries are incredibly famous. Guess how many Door County cherries are grown in Door County?
Not that many.
Do you know where they're grown?
No.
Michigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you go up there, and you start asking questions, because I've gone and I've asked because I've wanted to ferment straight cherry juice from Door County.
Obviously.
The answer you get if you dig too far is, well, we do have an orchard, but we supplement from Michigan. And that is almost everybody in Door County selling cherries. And the bigger the stand, I don't care who you are, how loyal to Wisconsin, the bigger the stand, the more diluted their pool is. And so I'm thinking about one in particular that's very famous. And I went to them and they specifically told me after I asked them uncomfortable questions because they wouldn't verify their origin info, right? And so you can apply technology to land here to do things that are very successful. And that means that there's a wide berth. I mean, they don't grow beets here anymore, but they used to grow sugar beets here. They used to grow all of the Ore-Ida potatoes used to come off of Washington Island. People don't realize that. And they moved over to Oregon, Idaho, Ore-Ida. And so when we looked at access to grains, and one of the tricks is Breese. Like, you think that there's a ton of grain here because Breese is here. And so we fell for that trick. And then once you actually start pulling the string on Breese, a lot of their origin falls apart. So like most of their rye's coming from the Dakotas, a lot of their malt's coming from the Dakotas and in the northern states. But they're centered here, right? And they get a good amount of rye from here, but they can never tell you the proportion, the blend. So we just go buy rye from someone else and we get it milled by someone else. We buy malt from Breese because that's the best place to get the most chemically active and efficient malt that we can.
Sure.
But when we looked at the possibility of building here, it made a lot of sense. One, because my family's history from here, and the access to starches.
Interesting. All of that behind the scenes stuff is what always interests me about this, especially because you're able to be having both hands on a wheel and deciding what to go for. Like, we just uncovered some national treasure level secrets with the cherries in Door County that I didn't know about.
For sure.
And there's a lot of people in the craft market that don't need to over exaggerate